Well, we've been debating back and forth whether we wanted to install a secondary battery for when we go camping or overlanding or simple power outages here at the house. And that debate is finally over. We decided to do it. And we made a video on how we did it. And maybe it'll help you too. So, man, sit back, relax, and come on, jump in and help us. Let's get it done. Living life on the R5. Hello, JJ. I'm gonna try my best to explain what we're about to do in the bed of the truck on this whiteboard. And we're gonna put it on paper before we put it into practice. So when everyone purchased their Jeep, we have a starter battery underneath the hood, all right? This is the life force of our vehicle. We can't turn it on, we can't drive, we can't operate without this guy. So the last thing we wanna do is drain this guy out with our secondary battery. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run lines along the frame of the truck underneath until we get to where the bed and the cab meet. And then we're gonna enter the bed through the drain plugs. And we're gonna connect it to our house battery. This is our secondary battery. This battery's job is to power everything in the bed of the truck that we want it to, whether it's refrigerators, air compressors, inverters, you name it. That's what this guy's job is. But what we don't want it to do while it's doing its fabulous job is to steal power from this. So to monitor that, we're going to mount a DC to DC power box here. What its job is to do is to turn on the ability for this house battery to get power from our starter battery when the car is on only. So when it feels like the alternator is charging this battery and has power, it allows this battery to charge itself through that power. As soon as the car is turned off, it shuts the circuit down and it doesn't allow anything to pass through it. So no reverse flow into this battery and no stealing power from our starter battery into the house. Now the house battery itself, we're going to mount an inverter right here. The inverter's job is going to be to turn 12 volt power into 110 for anything that we want to plug into it. Our inverter is a 2000 watt inverter. It's got 3 plugs on it and 2 USB ports. I think 1 USB-C also. It's a Renogy, I think. Our battery is a lifetime. It's a 200 amp hour, I want to say 2600 watt lithium battery. I got it on Amazon. Matter of fact, I got all this on Amazon. I'll put links for it all in the description below and you can go check them out. But this battery, the 200 amp hour battery, is actually on sale right now for pretty cheap. I mean, it's not cheap, but when it comes to lithium batteries, it's pretty cheap. So go check that out if you're in the market needing one. We're also going to put 2 bus bar terminals right here. That way we can tap into those. We don't have to have 1,000 wires on top of our house battery. We can just run 2 lines into here, and then anything we want to tap in, like our air compressor, can tap into these guys, etc. I'm also going to have a digital output where I can monitor the percentage of our battery that's remaining, how much charge is getting, how much outflow it's going to get. So we'll pipe that in too. The setup I'm going for in the bed of the pickup is, imagine this is a box. Inside the box I'm going to have our battery. I'm using a 200 amp hour, I think it's like 2500 watt lithium battery. It's lifetime. I'll show y'all what the battery looks like here in a little bit. My plan is this. When we come into the bed of the pickup, let's pretend this is the bed of the pickup, firewall where we come in. I am going to put an Anderson connection. Anderson connections are basically quick connections. And so that quick connect will be right here. This way, if I ever wanted to remove this box from the bed of the truck and haul it to a remote campsite, haul it inside the house and use it, I can. It's just a simple quick release and the whole system comes out. I'm going to have my DC to DC charger mounted to the outside of the box because it does have fans on it, so I want it to stay cool. I'm going to have my inverter mounted to the outside of the box because it also needs air to stay cool. I have plugs mounted on the outside of the box. So the box itself doesn't need to hold anything but the battery. I may put a flip top lid on it. I'm not sure yet. We're going to build it and see what it looks like and go from there. Should be a pretty simple setup. I'm thinking about putting handles, maybe little rope handles here and here. I'm not sure where yet. Depends on how heavy it gets. I'm thinking probably max weight of this guy maybe 60 pounds with the battery in it, because the battery itself is about 40 pounds. and these guys don't weigh much. So we'll see. We're going with the Renogy 2000 watt inverter. It's a pure sine wave inverter. And we're also gonna go with, I kind of stayed with the same brand. I went with the Renogy empowered battery monitor so I can see my input and output. The inverter came with some nice cables to hook it up to the battery. I went and bought some, so man, this right here will probably save you 50, 60 bucks. I bought 3 foot of both red and black, and it cost me $50 this morning at the auto parts store. And so had I known they were in there, I could have saved that money. So I can't return mine because I had them cut. But I also have some marine outlets with gang switches on them. One's a 12 volt, one's 2 USB ports. I've got some bus bars here so that I can hook into those. Various fittings. I do have Anderson connections. I'm kind of excited about these so I can quickly disconnect my battery box. So I'm kind of excited about that. I have a 60 amp breaker that I'm going to hook up close to the battery. I have my DC made by Renogy also, battery charger. Various cables laying around, some crimpers for these cable fittings donated to me to use for this project by my good friend Tyler. He gone for the shrink wrap, and I'm going to have tools, fittings, etc. Let me show you the battery. All right, here's the battery. This is a box I built for it to sit in the truck. Made some handles, whatnot. But anyway, all my wire is going to come through here when it enters the bed, then come up through here after. So my DC box will be mounted here, and then into here to my battery itself. My battery is a lifetime 12 volt 200 amp hour. That's 25 or 2600 watt battery. My goal is for it to sit right there. That's my little makeshift toolbox that I have. And so I'm hoping that I can get it to sit right there, and then that way I can quickly disconnect this guy with my Anderson connections when I want to haul it to a campsite, or if I need to bring it inside the house to power refrigerators or whatever. So I'm going to be using 6 gauge wire. I'm going to tap into my hot right here, and then I'm going to use one of the ground spots right here on the side of the Jeep to ground off into, since that's where our battery ground's connected. And then I'm going to drop down, and we're going to run along the frame all the way back till we get to the bed. I ended up running this right in here beside the fender. If you can see right here, the fender itself will bend backwards and has a little gap right in here. It'll go straight up in there to the battery. That's what it looks like, right kind of beside the tire. We're snaking the wire over the frame as we work our way back. As you can see, my trusty sidekick is doing nothing to help me. So I guess he's the job supervisor at the moment. Once I made it to the bed, I used the drain plug as an opening, and I dropped paracord or 550 cord down with a nut on it so it would get to the bottom. Then I taped the line and the string together, and I pulled it back through the hole so that I could get everything up at one time. We're going to leave about this much wire up here for right now. We're going to make our connections, and then we're going to leave it undone. We don't want any heat going back to the back right now while we do the rest of it. I decided to attach my 60 amp breaker to a bolt right here underneath the hood. We'll see if how that works out. We're going to change out our screws. This is the one that was in the vehicle, and this is the one I'm going to replace it with. If you mount your breaker in the same location as I did, you will need a longer screw. The one there that came from the factory is a little too short. I'm preparing my wire with the heat shrink, and I'm also getting the fittings put on. But man, I struggled with it by myself. I needed another hand. Well, shit. Did I had all them fibers in there the first time? Now my damn thing looks like alfalfa. This thing has been its own challenge today with the rains.
What are you doing there?
Screwing. My favorite pastime. So we're installing the output wires right now from our DC box before we mount it. And that way, this will go in the box to our battery that's here in a moment. Not yet. I'm struggling to hold this inverter on by myself and get it screwed in, so JJ agreed to come out and be my assistant for a little while. And then she noticed the job supervisor Cinch had left his post, so she quickly filled in on that role and started telling me where to put things, but which was okay because her and I see things differently, and some of her insight proved to be pretty valuable and saved me a lot of time. I don't have wire holders like I want. I do have some that are made for PVC pipe. And I'm going to wrap them in electrical tape. Hopefully it cushions the edges or doesn't cut any of my wire. And we're going to screw those wires a little bit closer to my box. I think it'll look better. Okay, now let's pick that battery up and sit it in there and then hook it all up, slide it back there, get it hooked up to this. Maybe we ought to wait on hooking up the battery. Let's get the battery in here. I made some foam in here that fits this battery just right. All right, that'll work right there. Now I'm gonna slide this forward into the truck, hook up to my leads that go up to my starter battery, and then we'll hook this guy up, I believe, after we get some water, because it is hot out here, man. That's heavy. And my ropes suck. They are the wrong height. They are right here height. I should have made them way longer. It's horrible. All we have left to do now is hook our wires up into that one. And actually I got a lot to do, man. I still got to hook up that. Yeah, we're not close. Back to the drawing board. With all the moving back and forth with the rain, I totally forgot about the battery monitor screen. So that's what you're seeing me install here. It turned out great. All right, guys, we're finally done. That took a little bit longer than I was thinking. It's my first time building this, and so I ran into a few issues that I'll discuss with you guys along the way and maybe help you from preventing them for yourself. But anyway, I think also the box that I made to hold my battery and my inverter, I'll probably readjust as time goes. I just want to see how it fits my needs. I wanted to make it small and compact and easy to carry in and out of the truck to different campsites or maybe inside the house if I needed to power my refrigerator and a power loss or anything like that. But I will tell you the battery itself is probably 40 pounds, but the inverter probably weighs 30 pounds itself. So I don't know if it's that heavy, but it feels like it with the box and everything all attached with the wires. I'm probably sitting at around 100 pounds for the box. That's kind of heavy to be lugging back and forth anywhere. So I may make a more permanent structure for my truck that'll house it and keep it safe and covered. But for right now, this mobile thing will work. So let me walk y'all around, show you what it all looks like installed, and I'll discuss any hang-ups that I have to maybe help you from making the same mistakes, and you can do it a little bit better. Starting under the hood, I connected directly to my battery, and I come out to a breaker. I'm using a 150 watt breaker right here, and then this line travels, it's 6 gauge wire. It travels down out of the fender well here and straight back to the bed of the truck. You're also going to have to run a ignition switch wire. So I piggybacked here in my fuse box off of, I think it's fuse number 52. It's the one that controls my cigarette lighter, and so when my truck is on, that cigarette outlet is on, and when my truck turns off, it turns off. So this signal then also goes down and back to the bed of the truck to connect into my DC charger to let it know when my truck is on and when it's turned off. We came in to the into the bed of the truck through that drain plug right there. I drilled a little hole into it where I could seal it all back up, and then I just pushed the plug back into the truck. But we came through and I mounted my Anderson plugs right here onto the side of the fender well. That way it will always remain there, and I can take my box in and out of the truck. I can just quickly disconnect this red wire that I have for the ignition switch on the DC charger, and I can pull apart my Anderson clips and just pull that box out, take it inside, take it to a campsite, whatever, and then those will remain right there, stowed away, out of the way inside the bed of the truck. On the first go of this, I did not leave enough wire where I could actually pull it from the front of the truck to the rear. So currently, we have it where I can have it stowed out of the way, have plenty of bed clearance still, or if I want to work on it or have something further, I just grab my grab handle, pull it to the rear, and so make sure you leave enough of a pigtail that you can connect that. Well, anyway, jumping now onto, we have our DC to DC battery charger. That's where the main line from the front of the battery, where it's powered by the alternator, comes back here, and this DC charger has the ignition switch cable. That's the red cable you see going in. Notifies us when the truck's turned on. Then the DC charger will then charge our lithium 200 amp hour battery that we have here. It's almost 2600 watts of power in here. So on the front, I mounted a battery monitoring system to show just what my voltage is, what my output, how long it can last, etc. It's actually just a push-in model. It's a Renogy battery monitor system, so you have to Dremel a section out and then it just pushes in. It has some retention clips that are in there. Kind of cool, but it's pretty stable. It stays in there pretty well. For the inverter, I went with the Renogy 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter, and man, it's heavy, but it's working well. I just have my wires tucked away here. I put some little clips on the side, and then up here they connected to the battery. This guy here is where it jumps in, and this way your battery monitor system can monitor your battery output and how much it has left. So that's what this is for here, and this all runs that battery monitor system. My goal with this box is to be able to quickly pick it up and carry it, but as you can see, as I mounted things to be mobile to go with it, it became heavier and heavier. So I think I'm going to cut me a thin piece of plywood, make me some rails here where I can slide in a lip. I will probably end up mounting this guy into this box. I have a lot of foam in here just to kind of make this battery snug where it didn't move or roll as we hit bumps in the truck. We live out in the country, there's a lot of bumps. So I can probably move this battery more to one side, give myself some room to mount this in. Then make that lid where this will slide over the top and you won't see it. You'll just see a flat box with the monitor on the front and then the inverter on the side for right now. I just wanted to be able to access these. So what issues did I have in this build? First, I went with the wrong size breaker underneath the hood. I went with the 60 amp, and I'm actually bringing 60 watts back from my alternator with my headlights on or with it running. So I'm getting a lot of wattage. I'm getting full power back to charge this battery. And I was thinking I was only gonna get 40 or 50. So I was blowing that breaker consistently. So I had to up that to 150 watt breaker up there in the front. And that was number one. So I'm returning that breaker. See if I can get my money back off of that on Amazon, links below. Anyway, the next thing I had an issue with is my Anderson connections. My first time using them, Man, they're great. I really like them. I was just not installing them all the way in, the butt connectors. Wasn't pushing them in the housing all the way. So I pushed them into the first click, just wasn't far enough. So I was losing a lot of power or voltage from the original Anderson connection to the secondary one where it runs back to my pigtail. I was losing a lot of voltage. So a good friend of mine, Tyler, he diagnosed the problem. He instantly tore them apart and was like, hey bud, you don't have them all the way in. So he helped me out. So thank you, Tyler, for saving me a lot of stress right there with that one, because I was losing sleep over it. I'm gonna tell you what, I stayed up pretty late the first night working on this project, and that's where it stopped. Is I was losing power and I couldn't figure it out, and before I knew it, it was almost midnight. And like I said, we get up pretty early here, so I had to call it quits. But my good friend met me early in the morning, and we figured it out. So thank you. And that was it, man. Lastly, the box itself was just kind of a rough draft idea, like I say, so I could pick it up, pack it. But I'll probably change it a little bit later. But I thank you guys for joining along in this journey. I'm sorry about the weather. Man, it kept flash raining on me, and I was having to move stuff in and out. So the video itself is a little sporadic, and I'm sorry about that. But I had a good time with this build. I can't wait to use it. We're going to go camping in just a few weeks to a non-power site and run solely off of this. From our calculations, we're thinking we can run everything that we need at camp for about 3 days before we need to turn the truck on and charge it. And for this pickup to charge this battery from 0 up to 100 with the system that we currently have should take a little more than 3 hours, so 3 hours and 15-20 minutes or so, and we'll be back up to full power. So I'm pretty excited about that. This should sustain us well beyond what we need at camping. And so anyway, all the links to every product that I used, I bought them all off of Amazon, and so I'll put a description and a link below, and that way you can jump in and see if that's anything you want. Guys, I thank y'all, and y'all have a great day.